It is Vonlongmire. Today, I will teach you about image repair theory. What makes me equipped to talk about these theories is that I received 2 degrees, bachelor's and master's from 2 of the world's leaders in CEPR, Illinois State University and Ball State University, respectively. Technically, I am qualified to teach and have taught undergraduate students in my graduate assistantship. Without further ado, let's get started. The operational definition of image repair theory is that an organization or individual's ability to enact self-defense strategies when they have been accused of or are perceived as being responsible for a negative event that threatens their reputation or public image. Image repair theory is divided into 5 categories: denial, evasion of responsibility, reducing offensiveness of the event, corrective action, and mortification. The development and contextual history of image repair theory is that basically Dr. William Benoit, an expert on political communication, studied campaign messaging in all forms to determine whether positive or negative communication is more effective. Specifically, he was intrigued by the impeachment process for President William Jefferson Clinton. In 1999, Benoit and a co-author wrote an article in which they examined Kenneth Starr's investigation of the allegations of President William Jefferson Clinton leading to the president's impeachment. Due to Starr's use of questionable investigation tactics, it led public opinion toward Clinton to be more favorable than Starr, who was leading the investigation. The deductive approach began with that phenomena. Why are Americans' opinions of President Clinton more favorable than Starr? After all, Clinton was up on trial. Kenneth Starr was leading the investigation for the American people. The article begins dissecting the media, and then they were able to make larger implications based upon the rhetoric. Now that we covered the basics, let's examine a really juicy case study for even deeper insights. Chicago, 1982. 3 people died after taking Johnson & Johnson's product Extra Strength Tylenol. 3 days later, another 3 people died from swallowing Tylenol capsules containing cyanide. At first, Johnson & Johnson released a statement that it did not use the chemical in its factories. Later, based upon an inspection report that identified cyanide in some of the factories, Johnson & Johnson retracted its statement and decided to open its doors to the media. They recalled 93,000 bottles of the product in the affected Chicago area. When another reported case emerged from California, the company then decided to recall all extra strength Tylenol products, resulting in over 31 million bottles recalled. The company posted a $100,000 reward for the culprit or culprits, and also completed extensive market research to assess the implications the poisonings had on its consumer psychographics. The results yielded 87% of Tylenol users who realized the maker of Tylenol was not responsible for the deaths. However, 61% said they were not likely to buy extra strength Tylenol in the future. Johnson & Johnson implemented a new triple safety product and new marketing tactics. Chairperson James Burke appeared on television shows, including 60 Minutes, and in newspaper interviews too. There was a euphoria for the company that lasted until February 1986, 4 years later, when tragedy struck again. A woman in New York died from taking a Tylenol capsule. Chairperson Burke sprang into action once again and addressed the media the following day at a press conference. He expressed mortification to the impacted families. Eventually, Johnson & Johnson halted all production of capsules. Tylenol was subject to this preposterous occurrence once again. Despite no suspects being found, Johnson & Johnson was able to attain 95% of its prior market share back because of their fact, money, media, and transparency strategy enacted. I did not want to just stop with Johnson & Johnson, so I created a chart of definitions and case studies that you can look into further. Go ahead and screenshot this or head over to my blog for the downloadable version. The 3 columns at the top is really how it's organized: theory constructs, operationalization, and case studies. It also has all 5 of the categories of image repair theory. Let's break down Johnson & Johnson's strategy against image repair theory constructs. When an organization faces a crisis, legal representation will suggest denying any claims to minimize involvement or liabilities in a legal sense. Johnson & Johnson originally denies having cyanide in its factories. However, once the inspection report showed otherwise, Johnson & Johnson had to retract its statement. Johnson & Johnson then shifts from a denial to evasion of responsibility strategy. The implementation of defeasibility occurs the moment Johnson & Johnson opened its doors to the media. They remained transparent. They did not understand what or who was behind the poisonings. Accidents do happen, and in this case, the company appears to also be a victim of these heinous crimes as well. Audiences are able to empathize with the company too. Once another case emerges from California on the other side of the country, Johnson & Johnson implements offensiveness reduction, corrective action, and mortification strategies simultaneously. The organization's new credo serves as core values. The credo also conveys motifs of responsibility to the Johnson & Johnson community and extreme ethical decision-making to guide the way they conduct business. The credo reduces offensiveness of the event through differentiation. Johnson & Johnson stood on its core values. There were many corrective action measures taken to solve a problem and prevent its reoccurrence, offering cash rewards, recalling 31 million bottles. The organization reported to have lost over $100 million in revenue. The company took further corrective action by offering medication replacement and completely redesigning packaging. All these things led to Johnson & Johnson regaining its market share back. If Johnson & Johnson did not recall the product and use a denial strategy, it could have far worse implications on the company's reputation. Think about it. Have there been more casualties, stakeholders would lose trust in the company. This option would have resulted in a negative impact on the company's reputation, trust, and consumer behaviors. The public would have forever associated extra-strength Tylenol with death, the exact opposite intentions of a pharmaceutical company. At the root of image repair theory, there are 2 dependent variables: trust and transparency. Ultimately, the company's vulnerability through transparency saved them by re-establishing trustworthiness from its publics and stakeholders. It basically boils down to the faster a company assesses the damages and releases a statement of accountability, the more likely the public is to accept the narrative as genuine. i.e. from the horse's mouth. Think about it. Like, if a relative of yours crashes your car, do you want to hear about it on social media? Do you want to hear about it through a text? Do you want to hear about it through someone else? No, you want to hear it from the source's mouth. That is the best way to gain control of the narrative. Comparably, if this were to happen today, the fluid media environment would allow messages to flow even faster. Except for proprietary information, publics have about as much access to information as top management, allowing opinions to form much faster than effective crisis decisions can be made. To serve as an example of how instantaneous communication can be, take former Director of Corporate Communications at IAC, Justine Sacco. Her social media blunder on Twitter is actually the first instance of cancel culture that we have ever seen. Interestingly, Johnson & Johnson's website does briefly allude to tampering of products in the 1980s on the About Me section. They also still have the Credo available. And one thing that I did just learn, 1 year after the Credo was developed, Johnson & Johnson became a publicly traded company. This Johnson & Johnson case study is truly significant because it serves as a model for both theoretical application and crisis business application too. Moreover, this case is so significant because it eventually led to how all medications and over-the-counter prescriptions are packaged. The company handled the crisis both professionally and strategically, literally business goals, remaining visible and demonstrating vulnerability through transparency in the science to influence public opinion, reaffirming truthfulness as a core principle in ethical decision-making for public relations and business practice. As a disclaimer, new theories and information are ever-changing.
All references are included at the bottom of this video in the description section in AP style, of course. Thank you so much for watching this video.